The truth is, on a film set, the first few days are going to be clumsy and slow and probably not disorganized, but it's going to be a little rough the first few days. You'll get into a groove. That's why it is important to shoot consecutive days. That's why I'm recommending. This was a 14-day shoot, 2 weeks, but I would push at least the 11-day shoot, which is a weekend. You take a week off from work Monday through Friday and then shoot that other weekend. That's 9 days, and then you shoot another weekend a month later. It'll take 2 or 3 days to really get cruising, to get your crew and everything to work as a unit and move fast. So that's why weekend warrior shooting is so much harder unless you're doing documentary. If you're doing documentary, you just need to shoot an interview every month or so and then build something over a year, right? But in regard to narrative filmmaking, if you just try to shoot on weekends, like Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, the problem is you never fully get up to speed, because Sunday would be the time where you're really starting to cruise, you're really starting to do a lot of shots, the crew is gelling and you're making progress. Well, then you have to shut down, and then if you go to shoot the next weekend, you're starting up from scratch. So there really is it's almost like a platoon mentality where you need a few days to get up and running. And people will always complain on the set, especially on no budget stuff, that they don't like sitting around, or they think you're being disorganized if they have to wait 4 hours and then you shoot them on the 5th hour. But everyone really knows on Hollywood sets that's mostly what you're doing, is waiting around all day, and that is just how it is. But if you're working with a lot of inexperienced people, they will not understand that. They're sort of like, well, why can't I shoot my stuff and then go? It's like, it would have been nice. This actual film is the one where I tried to get reviews ahead of time before I did festivals and distribution. And that was a major mistake, because even though the bulk of reviews ultimately for this movie were overwhelmingly positive, the second or third person I sent this movie to gave it like a C. And when we were going to find distributors, they said, yeah, well, some of your reviews are not that strong, and so we don't want to take a chance on it. So this is a lesson I learned, is if you want your film vetted before you go to distribution to try to legitimize it, do that in the film festival circuit. Enter as many free festivals as you can that apply to the film. Try to save up and enter 20 or 30 film festivals. Look for deals and discounts, all that stuff. But don't give up your dreams. Try to enter a couple of the top 10. I hate to say it. I hate parting with my money, but I still will enter 1 or 2 of the top 10. But don't be afraid to enter smaller ones that are having screenings. It's much better to enter something that has a film screening that's something that's just an online competition. But if you vet your film through the film festivals, maybe you win some awards, maybe you get some official selections. Maybe even some of those festivals give you quotes, but you build a press kit out of that. But if you try to approach someone to review a film, that's tough, because they probably don't want to see it. The truth is, it's much better if they just happen upon your film and they watch it. And I understand that's impossible for that to happen if you're not distributing in the first place. So do the festivals first, then try to find distribution, because the distribution companies, the small ones, they don't do much promos, they don't do much marketing, but they will market in a certain way and frame it a certain way. And that's something that maybe, is not your expertise. It's not mine, so you can put a lot of effort into a thing and think it kind of bombed out, but usually you're going to get something from it. You're going to sharpen your skills. Somehow it will help you in your career, or you'll just grow as a human being. There are times where things feel like failures, and over time they're really not. And then there are times where things really feel like successes, and then you wait and they're really not. People think the way you hire famous people is to go to parties and schmooze and rub shoulders and all that stuff. The truth is, if you may not be able to hire a notable talent in your first feature-length film. That may be the proving ground for you to make a competent feature and to get it distributed and start to build your name. I would recommend a horror film, honestly. But the second film, if you have your film out, if it's streaming in notable places and you're becoming somewhat known, at least in the direct-to-video space, when you approach people, you at least can talk about yourself with some resume. When we were looking for a narrator for this film, we tried a bunch of different people. Wallace Shawn, Billy Connolly, Amy Sedaris. Like, you have to call the agents and the managers, and they really field things, so a lot of the stuff doesn't even get to the talent. And they were super rude because it was a large agency. And when I called up, they were like, I'm looking to hire someone. They're like, almost angry, like, yeah, who are you looking to hire? You know, almost pissed off. And I was like, Clint Howard. And they're like, oh. And so what I was like, so they were taken aback. Like, I wasn't crazy. I didn't try to hire Tom Cruise. I was trying to hire Clint Howard, right? And Clint Howard's awesome. He's a great character actor, you know, but he's not commanding like $20 million a film, right? You have to have your ducks in a row. So you have to say, I'd like to hire Clint Howard to narrate this film. I could pay them X amount. We can shoot them on this day, and it will take 4 hours, you know? And if you approach an agent like that, everything is totally in place. The money's in place, everything is in place. You're compliant with SAG, all that stuff. Then the agent might take it to the talent, and the talent might look at the thing and say yes or no. And honestly, it was the same thing from Daniel von Bargen, who was in Seinfeld. He was Costanza's boss, Mr. Kruger, and then he was Sergeant Spangler in Malcolm in the Middle, and then he was Sheriff Cooley in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou. The guy's just had a phenomenal career, and he just read the script and he was down for it. He had done Super Troopers and a lot of independent stuff, so he was cool with it. The thing about that role, Daniel von Bargen, he's in an office the whole time. And so he's in, I think, 5 or 6 scenes total throughout the whole film. So he is as much of a supporting character as almost anyone in the film. But because we shot, his character stays in the office the whole time, except at the end of the movie where he walks out because he's agoraphobic. We're able to shoot. One day we just shot him, all of his scenes. And he loved it because he got to act all day, and he's a character actor used to, you know, waiting on the set for 10 hours and then they shoot him for 15 minutes, you know. So you have to think like that. For us no budget filmmakers, it's a good tool to use where maybe you're throwing the talent a couple of $1,000, $2,000 to work for a day. But if they like the material and it's reasonable, you come to them sometimes, and sometimes they'll do it, you know? So think of it in those terms. Go through some of your favorite films and look at some of the character actors. There are actors who are really interesting and people know them. You know, like character actors like Marshall Bell, who was in Twins and Total Recall, Wallace Shawn or Clint Howard, or horror icons like Kane Hodder. This day was rough. We shot with these fireworks. We shot this all day, and then we had to do night shoots all the time. So we're doing 12 to 14-hour days. And we had to do a night shoot in the basement after this, and everyone was just had a headache and they were tired. It was really rough. But that's the problem when you have that many pages to get through in a day. So it can be really, really challenging. I hope this was helpful. You know, stay tuned for the next part, the $500 feature. All right. Thanks for listening. See you next time.